Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm Ten Tice, as always, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello, glad to be here today.
Yep, and today we're talking about Perfect Order, which just had pre-releases starting. I actually made a video on that if you haven't seen that, and if you're going to one, I got one of the cards slightly wrong, which we will actually talk about today, because I think it's actually decent. But what we'll see, because today we're talking about Perfect Order in the top 10 cards from the set. We've each given our top 10 here. We're going to be comparing them. We've not seen each other's top 10.
Nope.
And yeah, I think let's just kind of, you want to take a look at them and show them to each other and stuff?
Yeah, so I will open yours up. You'll open mine up. So, got to try to
Yep.
remember the best
Okay.
way to get
Okay. That
the
was a card that I was wondering maybe should have been here. I kind of forgot it, but also I don't know if it's that good. But so yeah, looking at this, um, we have some similar cards. We have some different cards as well. So my list, I guess I'll just quickly read my list in
Yep.
case you're just listening. So my first card was Meowth the X. My second card was Telepath Psychic Energy. My third card was Barbarical. My fourth card was Naveen. My fifth card is Tarragon. My sixth card is Mega Starmie EX. My seventh card is Dugong. My eighth card is Doublade. My ninth card is Hawlucha. And my 10th card is Turtonator. You want to read yours?
Yeah. First card is Meowth EX. I'm not surprised that that's one for both of us. Roses, encouragement. Second, telepathic, psychic energy. Three, Barbarnacle, or fourth,
Sure.
Dugong. Four, five, Mega Clefable. Six, Mega Skarmory EX. Mega Starmie EX is eighth. Doublade ninth, and Yveltal EX as 10th.
Yeah, so we have some similarities on our lists. We certainly have some differences as well here. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I'd say I forgot about Rose Encouragement. Actually, I'll talk about it in just a second. But I also think it's interesting card to discuss here today. That I don't think it's as good as you think it is.
Yep.
And then as I said, we have some cards on each other's list that aren't on the other person. So I guess we'll start at the top though with Meowth EX. You want to introduce it here, I guess?
Yeah. So, first, I have an honorable mention. So let me say what that is, and you can yell at me about that. And that is PokePad, which is
Okay,
coming out
that's right.
in the set. It's already out, so that's why it's not eligible for this. But the reason, first off, it's really good. If it was counted, it'd probably be number one, I would think. But I'm not, Meowth also is very good as well. So you might argue that. But the reason I think it's still very important is when I looked at the prices for IRL, this is IRL focused with why this one's here, it was $7 to $8 like last week. Yesterday, which was looking at it right before the pre-releases, the price had fallen to $4. So it had fallen in half. That was actually before the cards were available. So it's going to fall probably $2-3. I mean, $7-8 for a common is crazy expensive. So it's going to make PokePad affordable being in this set, which I think is very meaningful.
Yeah, that's definitely good. Pokepad, if you're not familiar, search for any non-Rulex Pokemon just on an item. It's very good. Honestly, arguably the best Pokemon search in the game. And yeah, it's good. As you said, it's not new to the set. It came out in Ascendant Heroes. But it is very good. Another card, or I guess a handful of cards I will mention here, are cards like Judge. I don't remember the other ones. I know Crushing Hammer's one as well.
Yeah.
They are new to or they're not new, but they are getting their first printing with the new regulation mark. They would actually be rotating if not, so that is meaningful there, though they're not in contention for this list based on how we do the criteria, but they certainly are some decent cards there. And yeah, as you said, Pokepad is very good. I went to a pre-release yesterday, which is cool, and I got 6 Pokepads in my pre-release kit, because the Tyrantrum kit has 4, and then I pulled 2, so I got like super lucky with that. Some people got none and were not as lucky. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, out of the four sets, one I think had 4. The pre-release kits, 2 had 2, and 1 had none. So if you got the one with none, you got unlucky, and you're pretty sad when you're going home. I got to imagine. So
Yeah.
with that,
But also, I guess I'll quickly mention this. It's a funny thing with the pre-release. So the pre-release kit I had, which was the Tyrantrum one, which some other people had, unsurprisingly as well, only plays 3 basic Pokemon because it plays like a fossil.
wow.
So I'm pretty
Okay.
sure Tyrantrum's not on either of our lists because it's not actually very good. But it plays a fossil. So you have like this fossil. is essentially your main basic, and you can't start it. So you need at least one basic. As I said, the kit came with three, and then some people cut it down. I didn't, but I was considering it. So
Okay.
one person had one basic, and there were multiple times where we had to call a judge over to mulligan. To do like after 8 mulligans, you like call a judge over, and then you like to like speed things up because
Yes.
you don't want to just be sitting there mulliganing for like an hour, right? So
No.
that was an experience. But anyways, Terraterm is not here, or nor is the fossil, or either of the fossils. But let's talk Meowth EX here. Meowth EX, as you said, or you kind of hinted at, it's very good. Pokebad, as you said, is very good, and Meowth EX is also very good. I'd agree with you that Pokebad's a little better, but Meowth EX is amazing here. The ability Last Ditch Catch. I'll quickly start off by saying it says that you can only use one ability with Last Ditch its name per turn. Currently, there is only one card with this, text its name, which is this card. Theoretically, there could be something else like this in the future. It kind of seems like they're hinting at it, but I don't know if that'll actually happen. But then, when you
Yeah.
play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you can search your deck for a supporter, reveal it, put into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. Um, and then actually doesn't say shuffle your deck in the translation, but that is missing for some reason, I think,
Oh, yeah.
unless I'm just can't see it. But then you also have an attack Tuck Tail for 3 colors, doing 160. Return this card and all attach cards to your hand. It's got one retreat. It is weak to fighting, and it has 170 HP. So low for an EX here, but certainly a very, very good card, right?
Yeah, no, very good. Cards like this in the past have been very good cards. The attack is 3 energy, so not a, so that makes it tough. It's nice that the attack returns to the hand, right? Gets it out of play if you end up using it. It would be nice if it had attack for less, but that's okay. And the HP is going to be low for this type of support Pokemon. So just a very good Pokemon. Obviously, you got an Ultra Ball to get it into hand. We're losing Nest Ball, which is okay. Obviously, Nest Ball wouldn't actually work with this because you're not playing it from hand, so it kind of is, worked probably intentional that this is coming out when Nest Ball is rotating.
Yeah, yeah. Unlike with like say Squawkabilly EX, which in some ways is a replacement for Squawkabilly. It's not like really,
Yeah.
but it's like the same type, similar HP, and obviously a powerful setup Pokemon or powerful support Pokemon.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that one worked with Nest Ball. But anyways, yeah, this card is good for the early game or like relatively early game for setting up, and the late game
Yeah.
for like finding boss for game or something. So it's super powerful. Um, Ultimately, this card, I don't think there's really any debate that it's the best card in the set. Again, unless you like count Pokepad or something like that. So, I don't know. Do you want to spend more time with this card, or do you want to move on to the more difficult to rank cards?
Yeah, I mean, no, there's probably not much more to say. When I was putting the rankings, I was pretty confident for most of what the top 10 would be for myself. There may be two that I wasn't was on the fence about. Obviously, we have some distinctions there, so that'll be good. But honestly, when it came to ranking things within these other 9 cards, it was really tough. But Meowth EX clearly head and shoulders above the rest, which is probably about all we need to say about it.
Yeah. Then I want to talk about my second card here. To me, I do think that this is this is a card I like more than other people by a little bit. So I was like, oh, maybe this will be a card that I think is like a lot better than other people think. But then the more I looked through the set, the more I thought it was like definitely the second best card in my opinion. We'll talk about your second card as well after this. But you had Telepath, Psychic Energy third. I had it
Yeah.
second. It's a Psychic Energy. It's always a Psychic Energy when it's in play. It does not need to be on a does not need to be on a Psychic Pokemon. This is also the first of like the cards in the cycle. Or I guess there's three in this cycle in this set. There's a Psychic one, there's a Fighting one, and there's a Grass one. The Grass and Fighting ones are they're okay, I guess. I don't know. But the Telepath Psychic Energy, the Psychic one is definitely the best. It says when you attach this from your hand to one of your Psychic Pokemon, you search your deck for up to 2 basic Psychic Pokemon, reveal them, or you don't reveal them. You just put them onto your bench there, then shuffle. So it's Pokemon search, but it's on an attachment, which is good. We saw the card Capture Energy, which was a colorless version that searched for one, obviously not type specific there. Which Capture Energy was a better card. I actually didn't really play much Capture Energy, but you're able to play this with a relatively low downside, and then the upside is quite good. Allowing you to set up your board in terms of an actual place within the metagame. I don't think it has an amazing place within the metagame, but it's a good enough card that you'll kind of want to play it. In my opinion, it's in that top tier of type specific support cards alongside stuff like Fighting Gong, and I guess it also toss Premium Power Pro in there. So what are your thoughts? Obviously, you have it on a similar place in your list, but
Right. I mean,
yeah.
mine's
Okay.
third, yours second. Very, very similar. I think it's very, very good. And it's going to go in psychic decks. I would pretty, it's hard to imagine it's not going in psychic decks. There's three special energies. The fighting one has a little bit of significance in that there's the stage one, which didn't make our top. I mean, it's stage two fighting Pokemon that wants special energy attached. So it kind of, so that's meaningful with that. But the others, what the effects of the other special energies isn't that good. But for this one, a capture energy, which was a colorless energy that when you attach, you search your deck for one basic Pokemon. It wasn't type specific, so you get any type of Pokemon you wanted. So that was good, and you could attach it to any type of Pokemon. But capture energy was a very good energy. This gets two, which makes it very, very good. The tricky part is with a card like this, it's type specific. So to what extent, obviously that makes it less valuable to me. But that was part of the tricky part because honestly, the top cards for me are all support cards. Except for Meowth EX, they're all type specific, which is tricky, which gets a little tricky how to rate things. But this is a very good card, and it certainly could be the second best of the cards. If you're playing psychic decks, it's a no brainer that this is right there.
Yeah, I will mention though, it needs to be like a very psychic heavy deck, ideally.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, like in Alakazam's like a psychic deck, but it only runs one psychic line, which is Alakazam, and then it
yeah,
runs like the Dunsparce, which you obviously can't get with this.
no,
And if you attach it to it, it doesn't trigger it. So you attach it to your like piece in the Alakazam line, then get two Abras down, which is like cool. But it's not getting like, I mean, after you use this for, if you play for this, if you attach the fourth one, you're not like searching for anything. I say it's probably true in most stacks. And then it also has some downside being a special NG. It's like it's still fine in Alexam, but it's not
yeah,
amazing. But in some decks, there's the ones that are like kind of Dusknoir, Psychic Box decks is just how I think they're mostly running Mega Dancy, but they're very good with
yeah.
this.
Yeah, I mean, any psychic decks where, it needs to be a psychic heavy deck, like you said. It's good that this wasn't around when Gardevoir, with the engine being the stage one, and this being around would have made that completely oppressive. It already was kind of oppressive, so it's good that they
Yeah, but
waited.
you do really want basics energies there as well, right?
Yeah,
So like I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know if it would be like broken, but it'd be interesting
maybe not. I mean, but getting
potentially.
set up that well is also important. So yeah, that's true. You need the basic energies with that as well. So yeah, if there's like a psychic focus, say big basic deck, it becomes potentially very good. So we'll see. It depends what psychic support Pokemon there are. It's coming out now. We'll have it for 3 years because it's the first set of post rotation. So we get 3 full years of the cards. So it's very good. It's a good card, and I imagine it's going to be very meaningful at some times over the next couple years.
Yeah, I will also mention we kind of talked about the other special energies. Rock fighting, obviously the fighting one stops it stops effective attacks, and
Yeah,
the grow grass, which is the grass one, stops or it gives you 20 more HP there. So these are both like a little defensive. They are like kind of okay, as I said, and so they could see play. The cost of playing them might not be too high, but in practicality, it's kind of rough. I mentioned Fighting Gong. There's also a new supporter Tarragon in the set. There is Mega Lucario EX, there is Lunatone, there is Teal'c EX, there is Mega Venusaur EX, and there's also Meganium, and all those cards, I believe. I'm pretty sure Meganium only works with basics. I guess yeah, I'm pretty sure on that one.
yeah.
So those cards only interact with basics and they're one of those two types. So it is a pretty substantial downside. So I don't think they'll really see much play. But if they do, that's not shocking. But that's not because they're amazing. It's because they're like fine and there's not much downside. I'd imagine, right?
Yeah, look, but rock fighting energy I think is definitely better than grass growth energy. The plus 20 HP usually isn't great. It does stack, but you got to get them attached. But the rock fighting does stop like Dragapult with the damage counters. So, so for fighting decks, it's definitely a consideration. Most grass decks probably aren't playing grow grass energy, although there are tanky ones, right? In which case you might consider that as well for that. But they're both, like neither of them made our top 10. Those other two special energies, and I think that was the right decision.
Yeah. Then we have your number two card here, Rose's Encouragement, which I don't have on my list. I kind of forgot about it, but also don't think it's very good. I don't know if it should have been on my list, but I think there's a very real argument to be made that it's not very good. But I want to hear your thought. I mean, I think I kind of know what you're going to say. And it has been seeing some play, but I have some questions about the
Yeah.
card.
So what the card does, first off, the supporter, you can only play this card if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, which obviously you're gonna get there in most games at some point. And what it lets you do is you attach two basic energies from your discard pile to one of your stage two Pokemon. So they both have to go to one Pokemon. But the big caveat here, it's stage two Pokemon. If it wasn't to stage two Pokemon, it would be it would be a tremendous card. You'd have it up here really high as well. So it's stage two decks, and it's a stage two deck that needs energy acceleration. So that's the question. What decks are going to be able to utilize it? It's probably going to be a pretty narrow set of decks that want it, but energy acceleration is always good. It would be better if it was like, say, the old Raihan that was if your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, it triggers it. You have to be behind, so even if you get knocked out and your opponent just evens up the prize trade, you can't utilize it. So those are the negatives. But the big downside is stage two only, but two energies and of any types too, because there are a lot of attacks that have mixed energies, including some good, ones that have, say, three energies that needing with two different types in some cases, or all of like one type, which actually is even a bigger deal because then Crispin doesn't work. So for the decks that can use it, this is a very good card.
Yeah. Like I can see how it can be good. Um, that being said, obviously, okay, so this wasn't the pre-release. All this is probably the last time I'll bring up the pre-release, but this is in one of the pre-release kits, and it actually works with the superior. It's like referenced on the card, but it's a card that accelerates and can be used. There were multiple times so people tried to use it, and then like we're
Mhm.
like, oh wait, I need to be down on prizes, and then just like couldn't play it. And I don't think I
Yeah,
saw anyone actually play the card. So, um, it's like in pre-release, you're not falling down on prizes as much. In
right.
standard, I think the deck to play this in logically is kind of like Dragapult Dust War.
Yeah,
You can use Dust War to get in the position you want to be in. And then in terms of prizes, or Dragapult can just like fall behind anyways, so you can use it. And it accelerates energy to a stage two, which is multiple energies. It is different types as well there. Um, Except like just use Crispin, right? Like surely Crispin is essentially always better than this card. I guess you could be out of energy in your deck in the late game, but I don't know. I feel like you're not really trying to accelerate that much in the late game. And Crispin isn't like a big ask. Like most of the time you can use it, I feel like. And it's just so much better in the early game. Yes, it doesn't accelerate as much energies or as much energy. It accelerates just one there. Versus this accelerates two, but Crispin gets both, and Dragapult's not some crazy energy hungry deck. You mentioned like Pokemon needing three energies.
right.
Um, Maybe a Pokemon like say Cynthia's Garchomp EX needing two but discarding them. It could be cool there, I guess, but it's like kind of clunky. It doesn't like it just seems like a worse Crispin. I suppose after Crispin rotates, or like if for whatever reason you're not playing Crispin, you could use this, but it's not that good, right? I mean, it's I don't know. I think it like looks like on the surface like, oh, you accelerate two to the stage twos. That's like nice, but it feels like there's a bunch of hoops you need to jump through, and it needs to be on the stage two as well, right? So you can't use this before you get the stage two into play. Not
Right.
only does it need to be in the stage two deck, but it needs to be, with Dragapult, assuming if you're like not rare candying, it needs to be on turn like at 3 or late. Like you can't get onto the Dragon or the Drakeloak, which is definitely a downside. So I feel like it's just um very comparable to Crispin, but just like a lot worse. In essentially the situations you'd be wanting to play it in.
Well, what it wants to be is like you said, the superior references it. So it's superior is the stage single prize stage two. The second attack is three grass energies. And then it says if you had Rose's encouragement in the discard pile, it does 150 more. But in a stage two that takes three energies of the same type, then you need Rose's encouragement, right? There's really no other way to power it up in one turn. So it's that type of card. Even if it was two of the same type, it's a little bit, in some ways, it will help you out sometimes that Crispin wouldn't because you can't get the second energy into hand with Crispin of the same type. So it will have some value there, but particularly cards with three energies, that's where it starts to shine. So, but of course, Pokemon like that are difficult. So I don't know what
Yeah.
the partner for it is, honestly, at the moment. But I think, look, I think energy acceleration, very good. Accelerating two is very good. It's niche because it's stage twos, but all these like support Pokemon are niche by type or something. So that's where it gets tricky, and it was difficult, as I said, to kind of evaluate things. I think those support cards are good, but they're all specific to situations. So it was hard for me to rank it, but I think Roses does have a lot of upside.
Yeah, it definitely can be really big, as you're saying, with these like energy hungry stage twos. But as you're also saying, they're like not good. Like essentially always, I can't think of any that are good. Um, I guess being energy hungry being three energy. Well, I guess Gardevoir is good, but that's like completely different. Um, and it's
Right.
not good because it's attack. And
If
I
you
guess
want to
like there's
if you
some
want to
other like
play like
support cards.
A Charizard EX now, right? Once we lose Charizard,
Mega, but
right?
you
You can
can
make a
use the
Charizard.
Oricorio, which
Yeah,
is a basic that accelerates like more energy.
you
I mean,
could.
not necessarily, but probably.
Yeah, but
And I think as we'll kind of see in the set as well, there's a lot of like stage ones that like accelerate to different types. Like there's one for fighting, there's one for lightning, there's one for darkness. Then there's also there's like grass acceleration with like Ogerpon. There's acceleration for pretty much every type. That's like okay.
yeah.
And so I don't know. I feel like Rose is going to be like the second or third best option, which is means you're just probably not going to play it.
It's going to be very deck specific. And in looking through like this set of cards, the Superior is the only Pokemon within perfect order that would want to play Rose's encouragement, which is a negative, right? It's not a good sign that there'll be much demand for it. But I think it is fun. In some decks, will definitely take advantage of it.
Yeah, I imagine definitely that some like weird smaller decks could play it.
Yes.
But then we have the card that I have third, the card you have fourth, which is Barbarical. I actually just kind of mentioned this. It says it's a stage one fighting Pokemon here. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic fighting energy from your hand to one of your fighting Pokemon.
Yeah.
I thought it needed to be in the active, but maybe not. Anyway, so Barbarical lets you accelerate fighting energy. Um, to your fighting Pokemon. This is it's an ability that obviously allows you to accelerate one on a stage one, which we see you have in standard with like
Yeah.
electric. Electric's like fine. Um, and abilities like that have been good. This is from hand, which is probably worse than from the discard, but it's still fine. Definitely not bad. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't think it logically has great partners. But I think it is a good card. That I'm excited to see played. There is the partner of Okidogi, which is like okay. Um, I don't think Okidogi is amazing, but I think it could be cool. I think it could be really exciting, and I guess is the best use case of Barbarical. There was also, I guess, the set. By the way, the Japanese set is named Nile Zero. The main attack on the main quote unquote main Pokemon is Nile Zero, or I guess quote unquote main attack on the quote unquote main Pokemon. Um, there's a lot of not good stuff about it because it's just not a very good attack or card. But it is the Mega Zygarde DX, which actually has core memory, the tool, which like
Yeah.
you can use, which is kind of funny, which is probably actually the main attack. But and anyways, the quote main attack and the quote main Pokemon is meant to be paired with Barbarical. It's just not very good. It's 5 energy, and it is like random damage on random Pokemon. So, or I guess it's damage on random Pokemon. But yeah, it's that's kind of the intended partner, and obviously it's not very good. I also mentioned Mega Lucario. Mega Lucario doesn't really need this energy though, so that it's
No.
just not what you're looking for.
I mean, look, first off, I was thinking that this could be my number. This was in running for the number two card in the set too. I got to say because
Yeah,
it, like you said, it accelerates from hand, which is not as good from the discard pile, but it can accelerate to the active as well. So that's a big plus. So that kind of offsets it there. Getting energies to hand is going to be trickier post rotation. So how well you can make it work. But energy acceleration, very good on a stage one. That's perfectly fine. So a really good ability. Like you said, if you want to use the Mega Zygarde EX, which didn't make our list for either of us because the energy demands, 5 energies, is just absurd. But the one attack that you flip a coin for each of your opponent's Pokemon. If it heads, you damage that Pokemon. That's a really fun way to play the game, I got to say. But you have to like get four Barbaricles in play and accelerate with all four of them, and then attach for turn to get yourself powered up. So basically, you'll be lucky if you get the attack off once per game. You're not going to flip enough heads to win the game. But there, yeah, I don't know what the partner is going to be. But again, it will have some partners down the road at some point. And cards like this are good, right? So it's a good card. I don't really think there's any doubt about that. It's just a matter of how good, and part of it's going to be what partners are there going to be that can really take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool card. It's a pretty straightforward card. As I said, we see cards like this relatively commonly. I mean, we
Yeah,
just had, or I guess we'll just have Zadu rotating, which is kind of similar in a similar vein there. Definitely a card with some inconsistencies. You mentioned the acceleration to the active.
yeah.
Zadu cannot do that. And yeah, ultimately a pretty decent card here. But you want to go with your next card, which I think I'd say is in a similar vein as well with Dugong.
Yeah, Dugong, which is another energy Pokemon. This one's like Armor Rouge, but for water. A stage one with the ability to wash out as often as you like. You can move a water energy for one of your bench Pokemon to your active Pokemon. It doesn't have to be a basic water. It could be a luminous energy. That's sticking around, right? Or are we losing that?
No, Luminous is not, but we will have Prism.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, that is an option, and
So
Legacy as well.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but the point is, you can move special energies as well as long as it's a water energy. Not anywhere you want, but from the bench to the active. So you're powering up your active. Armor Rouge has been underwhelming. A fun card. I will say I'm still been playing Armor Rouge with Eason's Ho-Oh lately, but even that's not great. So it hasn't had great partners, but I think Armor Rouge, the ability is good. So with Dugong, Water, I would expect this will be better than Armor Rouge. Just to probably have some better partners over its lifespan, I would expect.
Yeah, Water has been bad for a little while, but I would not be surprised at all if it got like good. You kind of need a specific type of Pokemon. It needs to really accelerate to probably itself. It could be to like the bench, but ideally or probably it's stronger. It probably accelerates more if it accelerates to itself, like Ethan Show EX, which you mentioned
Yeah.
with Arm Rouge. But yeah, it would not be shocking if we saw a Pokemon like that. Water definitely is in need of a bit of a revival. I guess this was revealed alongside Mega Starmie EX as well, I believe. Um, they don't really work together very well, but they're both like fine cards. The
Yeah.
Dugong definitely I do expect to see some play. Definitely think it's weaker than Barbarical. I had it at number 7 on my list. It's a card I'm less sure of that it'll see play than Barbarical, but I'd imagine it will see some. This is actually the same exact ability as Quagsire, which is same ability, same name, and it saw play. It saw play with Naganadel with the Nag Quag deck, and that deck was good. I guess I don't know exactly how good it was, and Fire was also good at the time,
Yeah.
so that helped it. But yeah, that deck had a way to accelerate to your bench to itself, and then you could move the energy. So definitely a cool card. As you mentioned, Armouge is fun, not like super good. Armouge doesn't really had good partners, but I mean, right now, I wouldn't say there are any partners for Dugong either that I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, it again. It's like this is partly why Meowth EX is clearly the best card. Is partly Meowth EX is good, but all these other cards have they're good cards in the set, but they have their limitations, their drawbacks, which is Dugong very much fits in that bucket.
Yeah. So definitely excited to play it, but
Yeah.
not probably not gonna be playing it immediately. I suppose leave in the comment section on YouTube if you have any deck ideas. We love to hear them, especially for any of these cards, but especially Dugong. Dugong's a really cool card. But then we have the next card. I'll go with my number 4 card, which you didn't have on your list, which is the supported card, Naveen. Naveen is interesting. I honestly was really struggling where to put this card. This card is a supporter, and it's a kind of generic supporter. Discard any amount of cards from your hand and draw till you have 5 in hand. This is a reprint, pseudo reprint of, or essentially a reprint of, I believe, Sightseer. All right, let me just double check. Yeah, that's the same card. So, uh, yeah, there's some slight different wording, but I believe functionally they're identical. And Sightseer also play. It was fine. Obviously, it lets you discard, and it lets you discard in a controlled manner.
Yeah.
If you're discarding a few cards, then you're drawing just a few cards. It's kind of meh. But with this card, also, we are losing Professor's Research, right? Professor's Research is the
Yeah.
top discard draw supporter. So then the next best one, I'd say, is Carmen, which is discard your hand, draw 5. And you can play it turn 1 going first, which is cool. And I actually
Right.
think that's quite good with Meowth EX. But other than that, the rest of the game, Carmen's not super good. It's okay. And Naveen's objectively better than Carmen,
Yeah.
um, letting you discard, like you could use it in the same way, or you could use it to keep some cards, which is quite nice. So definitely a fun card. Um, a little generic, but I think it is a pretty decent supporter that will see actually some play. I think it deserves to, and I think it will see some play.
Yeah. I mean, first, why I didn't put it on my list? The reason is it was a consideration for him to be my top 10 for sure, but it just didn't quite make the list. First off, Professor's Research, a very good card. Discard, draw 7. It just hasn't been seeing a ton of play for a bit now, though. I would say, there's been it's just kind of been down lately, so therefore, and that's drawing 7. So drawing 5, if a draw 7 card doesn't get a lot, then a draw 5 card is decidedly worse than that. The other thing is, which is the downside to it, is if you have a big hands, then it doesn't do much unless you're discarding a lot of cards. So the idea behind Naveen probably is you're doing that selective discarding, like you said. And obviously, for decks that want things to discard, that's fine. In every matchup, you have some thinning to do. There's depending what you're drawing and what you're up against. There's cards you're going to want to get rid of, and be able to thin is very good. But if you're only thinning a couple cards, and you already have, if you have a 7 card hand and you discard 3 cards, you're drawing 1 card, and that's not very good on using your supporter for turn. So I think just a lot of times, I think it's just not going to do a lot unless you're discarding cards you don't want to discard. That's kind of my concern for the card.
Yeah, it definitely is in a bit of a weird place, but I do think it is decent, especially with a weaker set of supporters post rotation. In terms of pure draw, this might be the second best one behind Lily's.
Mm,
In terms of like draw as opposed to search, right? You got like T Marcus Petrol, I would definitely say is better.
yeah.
And I'm trying to think of what else there is. I mean, Judge is good, I guess. And then I don't know. Like this seems like a card I will probably end up playing. I'm not gonna be like loving it, but I do see myself playing it some post station. I think other people will, or just like not play it and then not have enough supporters, and then just kind of like brick more. So I think it's a decent card, not a high upside card, but like a high floor card.
It's a card that is best if you don't have good Pokemon engine cards, right? So
Yeah.
if you have good Pokemon draw, then Naveen is just worse, right? Like certainly you don't want to play your Pheasantipity, use your Pheasantipity X and draw into Naveen, because then you're discarding a whole bunch of cards, right? At that point, you're probably disappointed at that point. And if you have like some other engine cards drawing you cards, Naveen's just not very good. So, but a lot of decks don't have engines, so if you're playing an engineless deck, Naveen's better. We are losing the the 3.0 card, right?
Uh, Here, wait, no, it's not. I
Pokegear.
think
Oh, or they
Pokegear
reprint
is.
that one.
Yeah, I think it might be in this set. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So so
um,
so Pokegear works. The reason I bring it up is it works with engineless decks, and if you're playing an engineless deck, then Lily's is best probably, but then Naveen probably could be your number 2 draw card for your engine, right? You're going to have want some boss as well, but in like a Pokegear 3.0 deck, Naveen will have a place in something like that.
Yeah. So we'll kind of see. I imagine this will be a kind of mediocre supporter. I'm not saying it's like amazing, but I do think it is a decent card. The next card I have, my fifth card, which is also not on your list, is Tarragon. This is another supporter. This is another type specific card. It's another fighting type card, or I mean, it interacts with fighting. And it says put up to 4 in any combination of of fighting Pokemon and fighting basic energy from your discard pile into your hand. The same thing we currently have in standard. It will be rotating is on the psychic type with Tulip. Tulip hasn't really seen play,
No.
though I'd say it doesn't really have good partners. And we
Right,
got like
because Psychic's been
Gardevoir, which is
terrible. It's been complete
well,
garbage, right?
Gardevoir. It doesn't work with Gardevoir because you get all the energy back anyways, and you need like one Pokemon.
Okay.
And then Mikidor is good, but doesn't like need it. It doesn't even use psychic energy. And then
Right.
Dustor like could use it, but like it's not really good in psychic decks, right? So realistically, Tulip, like even though Psychic's been like the best type in the game for a while, it actually shockingly doesn't really have a place in the game outside of like Zadu, where it actually is super good, right? Would
Right.
you agree that Tulip's really good in Zadu?
Yeah, no, Zatu, Alakazam can play Tulip, right? And now,
I
just because you
guess
need to get
I
cards, right? It, into your
yeah,
hand.
I mean I think
So
I've played it in it. Yeah, it sees play. I don't know its
you might put one
count.
copy, and that'd be about it, I would
Yeah.
think.
But
But
anyways, and then we
yeah,
saw Nessa before.
right. I mean, look, Tulip was just right. Same card that's rotating, just wasn't played. So that's a concern, right, with Tarragon. So I'll just say I don't think this card's very good. This was not even in consideration for my top 10. So, like I said, I was a Tulip fan, and I still didn't play it a lot. And obviously, I played it more than other people, who most people just didn't play it at all, I would say. And we do have an item card that can get you a Pokemon or an energy, and it's not type specific, and it's super awesome. So, how many decks are actually going to need this, right? That's what my thought is. How many decks would actually need this to make their supporter for turn? I think it's going to be very few decks, if any, that are actually going to want to play this card.
Yeah, I guess, but okay. I don't actually think the card itself is that good, but I do think there's a place for it. So with because there's Clara, right? Clara is pretty similar.
But
You
no,
get
no.
two.
I see. You didn't like Clara. I liked
I
Clara,
didn't like Clara. No, I didn't.
and I did like Clara, but it's not type specific. So, and you still
Yeah, but
hated
how
Clara.
was Clara played? How was Clara played?
It was played in some decks. It was played. I'm trying to think. Like, I'm trying to think how much it got played after some cards like Glare and Zigzagoon rotated. Might not been
Like
so
Clara and
much.
Zigzagoon?
Weren't they in format together? Am I wrong?
I guess, but it didn't really see play with Glare and Zigzagoon. But I saw play with Glare and Moltres,
Yeah,
which accelerates, and you need energy, right? And there's a Pokemon exactly like that for fighting, or similar to that for fighting with Bloodmoor Luna, which is like okay. And then there's also similar to Zadu, which Zadu isn't very good, but this card is a lot better than Zadu, is Lunatone, which needs fighting energy.
that's
You can get
true.
back like two fighting energies, a Lunatone and a Solrock, and then be
Yeah.
drawing cards and like have an attachment, which is like good. And then yeah, I think it like slots really well into
Hmm.
Blood and Luna to the point where I don't know. I mean, I haven't really played with Blood and Luna, but I've heard some. I've seen it pop off, and it can be really nasty. It has issues with running out of stuff, but this it does like that covered perfectly. But then even just in deck running Lunatone Solrock, which Lunatone Solrock is up,
Yeah.
obviously very good. Like I could see I think Golden Eagle wasn't rotating this being played there, but um something that is energy hungry or like Pokemon hungry or whatever, which these two decks do exist, and Luton's very good. So
Yeah.
I think this card is fine. I don't think it's an amazing card. I'm not sitting here saying it is, but I think it's a card that will see play. Um, in some decks playing Lunatone, and Lunatone is arguably the best draw Pokemon in the game. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't thinking Lunatone Soul Rock, right? Because obviously you need energies with that, and if they knock out your Lunatone, your Soul Rock, one of those, you need to get it back, and you're playing fighting energies, so you're probably playing fighting Pokemon, so you're probably having a fighting Pokemon get knocked out each turn. So yes, it does have value in a deck like that.
Yeah, there are fighting decks or there are decks that run Lunatone that aren't really fighting decks,
Yeah.
like Golding would stand in Ceruledge, but even then, I think it would still be all right. Probably not played in Ceruledge, but definitely, I think an interesting consideration at least. Right, then we got Should we let's go with Mega Starmie, I guess. My card 6 here, which you had at
Right.
8. Mega Starmie EX has 2 attacks here. Jet Blow for 1 water, doing 120, 50 snipe. Then Nebula Beam for 3 colors, doing 210, and then it doesn't hit weakness or resistance, and also goes through effects. And yeah, it's a 330 HP Mega Stage 1. So, um, definitely an interesting card. What are your thoughts on the card?
Yeah, I mean, 330 HP is a solid number for a stage one. Obviously, these megas at 330, if you're getting one shot, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So how are these going to play out in the post rotation world? I'm not certain about that. The attacks, the Nebula Beam, it's 3 energies. The second attack does 210. Not great. Does hit through effects. So therefore, if people are playing walling type things, you're gonna with doing 210, you're gonna probably knock out a walling Pokemon because they usually are at the lower HP ends. So that's good to have that as an option. But it's mainly here for the first attack, Jet Blow. 1 energy does 120 and 50 to one opponent's bench Pokemon. Uh, the so it's 170 damage. It's that's not really enough. That's the problem,
That's
right?
a bunch for 1 on a stage 1, though.
It
You can
is.
while it's passionate, right? Like, that's the thing you can do.
Yes.
Um, and obviously it works with spread stuff, right? It's like
Yes.
it's kinda like a weaker Dragapult, but it's only 1 energy on stage 1. It is a 3 prizer,
Right.
but it's a decent card. Okay, so this card, if you're not familiar, in Japan was seeing like, initially when it came out, was seeing so much play. It was just, like, dominating tournaments, it was crazy, and they completely fell off, but I don't think the deck's, like, bad. I haven't tried it. Obviously, it's, not out internationally, but I think it's interesting. I think it's a decent deck. Realistically, I don't think it's going to end up in this tier. I think it's either going to end up like a lot higher or
Hmm.
like a lot lower.
Yeah.
But
It
I think there's a chance it ends up being quite good.
No, it's got a lot going for it. The question's going to be you you have to survive hits. If you're getting one shot, you have no chance. If you're getting two shot, you have a chance, but I don't know if you're favored. You need to really start to be get three shot, in which case, while there's
I mean,
compassion
I
and
don't think you're
such.
getting 3 shot. Yeah, unless you use Wally's. But
The
I
problem
mean,
is,
getting 2 shot if you're wiping out their bench.
well, but it's only 50, so it will matter what type of cards your opponent's playing down, as long as they have 60 HP or more, such that I don't know if you're taking enough um, prizes then, right? Unless you're knocking out something on the bench and you have to be two shot in the active, because if you're getting two shot and you're two or three shotting your opponent's Pokemon, you're gonna lose, right? So I'm concerned about the prize race with this. The other thing,
Yeah.
it does have the potential to be good though. I do give you that. Um, if it is, then having a lightning Pokemon that can slot in decks is going to be important then, which I can see that this being one of the top decks, one of the top say 4 or 5 decks, I can see that good enough play. And but then if every deck has a lightning Pokemon that can slot in that counters Mega Starmie, I can see that kind of world developing.
Yeah, and I don't think that Pokemon currently exists, but yeah. So Mega Starmie, and I do think it is like pretty comparable to Dragapult. Okay, the active damage
Well,
is a lot less, but the bench damage is similar, which is,
no, but
I
there's
mean,
a big. It's only to one Pokemon though, so that's a big
it is.
difference.
But if you wanna like knock out a Pokemon with this, right? And most of them have 70 anyways, so both of them are short. It's not Dragapult, right? This is not Dragapult, but even if like Dragapult's super good, if it's like even half as good as Dragapult, it's still very good. Maybe not like half as good, but I don't know what half as good actually means. But ultimately, I think this card is potentially really good. With other spread stuff like Monkey Door Frostlass is how it's been seeing play in Japan.
Yeah, no, and look, I'm a fan of Stage One's single energy attacking Pokemon, so I definitely will want to give it a try for sure. I'm just concerned about the prize race being a three prizer, right? So, and is there a Starmie in format now, or that's going to be in format
Um,
that
I
gives us
don't
any value?
think so. Let me just double check on that. No, there's one currently that's rotating, and there's Misty Starmie. So
Okay,
no, unfortunately, especially because the current Starmie is like super sick. It's a really cool card. I've like played it a little. It's fun.
yeah.
It's not super good, but it's fun.
Yeah, if that was sticking around, it would be a different situation. But So we'll see. It is look. This certainly could be much higher on both our lists, higher than we put it on our list for sure. If you want to make that argument, and let us know in the comments what you think about it, because I think this one is probably a bit more of a divisive Pokemon.
Yeah. But then you got in your number 6 slot another Stage 1 Mega, which I wasn't really considering. Like, I kind of thought about it for a little bit, but, like, not really. That's Mega Clefable EX. You want to read what that does?
Yeah. So 320 HP on a stage one, weak to metal, and I think metal weakness is probably one of the better weaknesses to have. So that's good. Because again, with these stage one megas, any megas, but especially stage ones, you can't get one shot, right? So that's the basic deal here. It's got the ability wings of light. You prevent all effects of your opponent's abilities done to this Pokemon. So that's definitely a plus there. And then Shooting Moon does 120 for 2 psychics. Now Crispin only gets you halfway there because you get the 1 energy with Crispin. Then you need to get another psychic energy in hand because you can't get two of the same energy. So that's where these 2 energies of the same type are awkward, but it's definitely doable. And then you can discard up to 4 energies from your hand. If you do, this attack does 40 more damage. So you're getting what 160. So you're doing 280 per attack. You've got to get these energies back in hand. This is where Tulip. It's a deck that probably might want Tulip. I would imagine I put at least a Tulip or two in that deck. And
Wait,
then
and no, you can't because it's rotating.
I know, but I would like it. Is
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
saying. I would. It would get played with
You
this
could play
deck.
Paragon, though, and you can discard fighting energies and get back fighting energies. See,
Oh, that's
it
true.
works out.
It's any type of energy. That's true to discard.
Yeah.
So,
Don't
that's
do
true.
that, but you could. You could do Lunatone Solrock and
Right,
Tarragon.
you do right. Lunaton's Lock, and we're losing the Superior Energy Retrieval as well. Correct.
Yes, yeah.
So again, which you'd really like that with this deck too, because you got to get back these 4 energies. So it's in one sense you could say it's a worse Goldengo EX, right? Because it's got a bigger base, but it doesn't scale quite as much, and it doesn't have the same tools because of rotation. But I think doing 280 is a solid number. So I think I think it's a consideration to play. It's sort of borderline viable is where I put this as an attacker.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, okay, so I think the fact that it's 2 NG is, like, not good.
Yeah.
Um, it's, like, worse. It would be worse than Goldengo if it was 1 energy. Would it be? It might not be, but it would be.
Um.
It's definitely, like, a lot better if it's 1 energy. Um, and I'm honestly might be kind of broken, but, like, it's not. It's 2 NGs. You can't really get the energies on. You mentioned Crispin is technically an option, but, like, not really.
Yeah.
And then there's Wondrous Patch. Yeah, you use Wondrous Patch
Right.
there, so that's, like, a thing, but it's kind of clunky, requiring you to, like, switch and get energy in the discard. Not, like, impossible, obviously, especially the getting energy in the discard, but not free in the early game either. And
Right.
then you also have the issue that you having you do just start doing that much damage. You are hitting weakness on Dragapult EX with Liz Clefairy EX as well as Mega Lucario EX, which are both. I mean, Dragapult's super good. Mega Lucario is decent. Enrageable EX I guess is also seeing play, and that you have weakness on. You do one shot that
Yeah.
with that weakness, but you one shot it with weakness easier as well. So definitely hitting good weakness there. But also, like, I don't know, I just don't think it's very good. The 2 energy, you do have Wondrous Patch, but you need to, like, jump through these hoops to get there.
See,
I played Wondrous Patch, but, like, I don't know, I'd probably rather play Mega Dancy, and I don't think Mega Dancy's that good either.
yeah. See, you've told me multiple times, and mentions on the podcast, some certainly off the podcast, about how I'm like, how are you going to energy on that Pokemon? You go, oh, you Wondrous Patch, it's all good. But now that you don't like the Pokemon, Wondrous Patch just doesn't do the job. So
Yeah. Well,
you really
Wondrous Patch is fun. I love playing Wondrous Patch. It's an awesome card.
okay.
It's it just like, if you use it on a basic, it, like, can kind of work. Usually on an evolution, though, I mean, it's not like just you can get it powered up, right? If you need to get this powered up, you can, but then you also need 4 energies in your hand or something, and it's
Yeah.
also a 3 prizer. um I just feel like there's a lot of downsides, and the upsides are pretty minimal. Like, it has, like, a cool ability, but that, like, probably won't really matter ever, I can't think. I
Well,
think maybe there's some situation where it does, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Maybe I'm just forgetting. There's, like, Monkey Dory. But it actually literally has a Monkey Door counter if you're really that scared of it, and I don't even think it matters that much. And then
Well, you got
there's, I
Dustnor.
guess also oh yeah, there's Dust One as
So
well. Yeah, yeah, so there are those. You can also like again you have Psyduck though, so if you're really that worried about him, I mean you don't need to play those cards now, which is like cool, but you know
yeah, look, the other thing is I probably put this too high. I think it is a top 10 card for me. Might be too high in the top 10. There is a stage one as well that helps bump it up for me. The Clefable stage, single prize stage one with the metronome attack for 2 colorless energies. You choose one of your opponent's active Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So you'd have that single prize Clefable in the deck as well, which does make it better.
yeah, that is a cool card, I will admit. It's not super good. I don't think I've played it in standard, but it is a fun card. I played it in random battles, I think. But yeah, then we got your next card, which this one was my 11th card,
Okay.
Mega Skarmory EX, which is a basic. It's a mega, and it also has this 260 HP, which is like low for a basic
Yeah.
mega, but obviously like for a basic, it's high, just a random basic. And then it has free retreat, which is cool. And for 3 energy, 2 which are metal, it does 220 snipe. And you shuffle the energy from this Pokemon into your deck. It also has lightning, weakness, fighting resistance, which is something. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's something.
Look, it's so we're kind of. I have questions on this. So for sure, it's the HP is really low, 260 to give up 3 prizes. So it's a late game attacker. It's kind of a win the game with this because it does 220, but you can hit the bench. So you can take out something multi prizes on the bench with it. Either a low HP Pokemon, obviously like Pheasant Dippy, you can just blow it up. Honestly, if you get Mega Skarmory powered up early game, and that's going to be the hard part. The energy cost isn't good, but if you could get it set up early, just blow up Pheasant Dippity to start the game, that's not a bad option either. But really, it's there to hit something on the bench to win the game. And if the energy cost was less, if it was say 2 energies, it would definitely be a lot better. I know that. I'm not sure I'm going to power this card Pokemon up. I don't have a solution to that. You're gonna have to do a bunch of shenanigans to make it happen, I would think. But do
Yeah.
220, which means you're knocking out a 2 or 3 prize Pokemon on the bench that you already have damage to, right? There's a lot of times in games when you're in that spot to win the game. So if you have a deck that can power it up, it's definitely a nice little option to have late game. It's nothing outside like a late game closer though. I think. And how do you power it up? That's the trick that has to be cracked.
Yeah, you got like Matang, which is
Yep.
what Matang's like, kind of random, but it's kind of fun. And then you got like Arcaludon, where it's like an
Yeah.
option, but, like it loses all the energy. So again, yours like it tends to end the game. Also mentioned
Right.
like going after Fez early, but that's probably not out early. You can like go
No.
after Ogrepons, but you can't snipe those. Um, I guess there's Meowth EX, that'll be there at points in the game.
Yeah.
So you will have 2 prize targets a bunch. But you can't really finish off a Dragapult because you can't snipe it, right? Or you can't snipe with damage. So I don't know. It's a cool card. Having True Retreat as well is nice. I just don't quite see, you know, I just don't quite see a use case. Like we have some options for energy acceleration, and I still don't quite see a use case. Like we need something very good. If this was one colorless, I'd really like it, but it's
Well,
not. Or
that'd
I
be
mean, no,
crazy
sorry,
then.
not one colorless. Sorry, one energy and one metal, two colorless.
Okay.
I'd like it. And then you could play it in a toolbox deck, but you can't really do that. There's not really a metal tool. I mean, there is Matang, but I
Right.
guess this works with Matang. If you like are someone who can play Matang, then do it for that. I just can't bring myself to play it. Like, you just like miss. You need it, and it's not there for you. And then like you hit 4, and then you're like, oh, that's awesome. But like, oh, I don't have any like Pokemon to accelerate to that are any good. So yeah, it's a bit inconsistent there. But it actually the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm selling myself on this with Matang. But I don't think it's like that good, right? And I don't think you think it's that good either.
Well, and if you're playing Arcaludon, I think you're going to put one copy of this in the deck, right, for a late game closer.
Yeah. You also have Mega Mano, which is like kind of similar, and they're both like kind of all right. I definitely say Mega Mall is a better card and better in our Caledon. But yeah,
So it's yeah. Look, the energy cost is a problem. I just can't uh, get away from that. But unlike Mega Mall, it doesn't hit the bench. So a nice doing 220 to the bench is very appealing, right? Those are numbers that you don't see very often. So it's just a matter of can you actually make it work? Which the answer most of the time is going to be no, unfortunately.
yeah, and make it work like realistically, repeatedly, in some sense. Because if you don't win the game with this, then your opponent can just ignore it because it doesn't have any energy on it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah. Then we got our next battle Pokemon, which you had in the ninth slide in eighth, which is Doublade. This says you can reveal as many Hone Edge, Doublade, and Age Slash from your hand as you want. Does 60 for each card revealed. Unlike Humor Contra, this does not discard. At first, I thought it did, or I like, kind of got them mixed up. Slash hadn't read this card in a while, but yeah, you
yeah,
reveal them. So your opponent can hand disrupt you with like Judge or Unfair stamp specifically, and that's going to
right,
be kind of annoying. Um, but you can do big damage. It's a cool card. I think it's a decent single prize deck, honestly. Like I think it's an all right deck. In a similar caliber to Honchkrow. And you don't have as many cards to use, and you also don't have like they don't really. I mean, they are part of your evolution line, but they're not these setup supporters. So I feel like it's a little awkward, but it's all right. I'd say it's pretty comparable to Honchkrow, and then kind of like Alex Sam as well, right?
yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's two energies, but they're colorless, so you can crisp in to power it up. In this one,
yeah,
obviously, there is a stage
and
two, and
ignition.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna play that in the deck too, for sure, I would think. Um, so you've got this is the rare case where it's the stage one where there's a stage two as well, but this is the card you're playing. You're gonna play four copies of the stage two because you want those to reveal from hand. You actually might play more Doublades, the stage ones, than the basics, depending, right? Because it's because you want them in hand, not in play. So it's an
I mean,
interesting
imagine you run four of each,
four of
right?
each. Yeah, I would
Surely.
think so. Yeah. So, and it's good because we're losing Iona, which means there'll be less hand disruption. Obviously, Judge is sticking around, or Judge is coming back. I guess I don't know how one phrases it. It's rotating, but there's a new Judge coming out as well. Um,
Yeah, at the
but
same time.
but Judge is going to get played a lot less than Iona, right? Iona was
Mhm.
much more of a staple card than Judge will be, I would think, because Judge just gets you less cards, right? So. I don't know how many players aren't going to play as many copies of Judge as they would have INOs before. I don't think so. The hand disruptions you're not going to. You only get hand disrupted once or twice over the course of the game. You're playing a single prize deck, so you can kind of afford to miss a turn over the course of a game, and then you're doing big damage. So it's very fun. It's a fun single prize deck. I don't know. It's not going to be a great deck, but it'll be fun, and you'll definitely win some games with it.
Yeah, I think it's like I could see it being like a borderline top 10 deck. I don't think it'll actually be there, but I
Mm.
could see that. In it being like okay. Then we got my number 9 card, which is Hawlucha. I don't know if you had this as a consideration. This card is potentially really good. For one fighting here, it does 30, but it does 60 more, so it does 90 for one fighting if you have any damage cards on uh, one of your bench Pokemon. So that's pretty good. It also is for a treat, 70 HP there as well. So ultimately, I think this card's kind of good. I mean, you can one shot Meowth. That's like pretty good. It's not that hard to get damage cards on your bench Pokemon. You you probably risky ruins, which is like okay, it's not amazing, but it's fine. And there obviously will be situations where you'll just have damage cards on your bench, but if you're looking for an early knockout or early damage, you're not going to be able to do that. But I don't know. I feel like this card just is at a shockingly good rate. Like we see 70 for one on like different Pokemon, which I guess you're getting knocked out by. But this does more, which is pretty nice in my opinion. And hits weakness, which Lunatone doesn't. Or Solvark doesn't. Lunatone does.
Yeah, look, the question is, do you get damage counters? Well, Soul Rock's also part of an engine, right? So that
Yeah.
this is not. It has free retreat, so it's yeah. I wasn't really consider. It wasn't going to make my top 10. I gotta say. But it does 90 for one. That is good because attacks that do 70 for one are okay. The question is, I have to be in a deck that plays fighting energy, and I have to be in a deck that wants to put damage counters into play. So what's that deck going to be? That yes, you'll get damage counters occasionally, but I'm not going to play Risky Ruins just for Halucha, right? I have to be playing Risky Ruins because I want it for something else, and Halucha is just another like a secondary or tertiary attacker in a deck where I probably just play one copy of for certain situations, right? So. I don't know that it's going to see a lot of use. That's my concern with it.
Yeah, I guess. But counterpoint, Monkey Dory. People play Monkey Dory in decks that don't damage themselves, and they like toss it in. They toss all this energy. They like toss all this like random stuff to commit to it. There are people who legitimately want it like banned, and it's like not even that good, but it's like it can be good, right? And you will get damage
Yes.
counters on your board. And this is like it does 3 times as much damage as Monkey Dory, and yeah, it's by Pop and searchable too.
Yeah, I could put this in my Monkey Dory Frost last deck. I suppose. And I mean, I could. The problem is, of course, I have to attach to Halucha and they have to attach to Monkey Dory. So, and you already complained about how you can't get the energies on Monkey Dory. So,
Yeah,
now with Crispin, you can get attached to both of them because you only need one energy on the Halucha. So, um, I- you know, I just don't know what decks it's going to go into. The deck that it makes sense. Like I said, your fighting deck and you want damage counters on your board, you play Halucha. But that's again, we're in a very narrow use case for this card, I think.
yeah. I mean, I could see it as a one of in like Mega Lucario, relatively easily. It's a
Yeah,
pivot, and it's got a usable attack at points. It's not amazing, but it's okay. Like I could definitely see it being played. I don't necessarily think it will be, but I think it's definitely worth considering as like a decent Pokemon, um, in some situations. Not
yeah.
amazing, but fine, decent.
Yeah, and we've had the periods when it's a pivot was like the big thing. So if we get back to the point where it's got a free retreat, so therefore you can kind of play. You just need something with free retreat. Then this starts to have value because you will have times with damage counters in play in every game. So it starts to have value then. But if and when we'll see.
Yeah. Then you got your number 10 card here, Veltally. Yeah, it's a very fun card. A card I was like, this card would be sick, but also I don't think it's very good, but it's fun.
Well, it's got two attacks. The second attack, three energies, darkness, colors does 210 and can't use attack the next turn, or it can't use that attack. That's not very good. But it's got destructive soul again for darkness, colorless. And you knock out each of your opponent's Pokemon that has 50 HP or less remaining. So it's very fun, and it's not just the active Pokemon; it knocks out everyone. So you're working either Monkey Dory, Frostlass, or Dusknoir, or some combination of all that. You're just spending like a whole bunch of turns getting all your opponent's Pokemon down to 50 HP, and there's like boom, you just wipe out everything and play, and it's going to be very fun, right? And you can build a deck to do this. It will work every so often, and it'll be so much fun when it works, right? That's why it's here, but also it's not going to work most of the time. That's why it's the bottom of the top 10 for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's kind of my thoughts. I'm actually looking on Limitless here. There's like a lot more people like playing it than I thought. And I was expecting. It's like not doing super well, but I won a tournament. Well, I guess it's a one of in like a darkness box deck.
Okay.
Doesn't seem very good in the deck to be honest. But anyways, you could pop off and like win theoretically. So it's like it's
Yeah.
funny. Um, you need to damage your opponent's Pokemon. Most have 70. This needs them at 50.
Yeah.
You could risk your ruins. If they just like play everything into your risk of ruins, you could just like knock them all out. But it's still expensive. You need like Toxtricity, as I just kind of said. But it's a fun card. Yeah, I don't think there's too much to say about this card, but I do think it is cool. I suppose if we got Dark Patch, it would be better.
Right.
Would it be good? No, probably not. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once again, the energy power. How do you power it up is a problem with this, as with a lot of the cards we've talked about today.
Yeah. And then we got my last card here, which is Turtonator. Turtonator is awesome. No, I don't know if this card's good, but I think it's kind of cool. Potentially really good. As a control card, with the ability Thorny Shell, this Pokemon takes damage from an attack for your opponent's Pokemon while it's in the active. Discard energy from the attacking Pokemon. And it has an attack that does 80 or 160 for 3. It's got 2 retreat. Ultimately, put this in the active. Your opponent loses their energy when they hit it. it's pretty decent. We've seen cards like this in the past, and they're
Yeah.
like, okay, I guess. I'll also mention another control card here, another fire control card, which is Talonflame, which just goes a card at random once every turn on a coin flip. It can stack as well. So um, those are just two fire disruptive controlling Pokemon. But I do think Turtonator is all right in control. Control's kind of fallen off, but this honestly, because Dragon Pulse going to be super good. It doesn't really have. Well, I guess it plays Crispin, but it doesn't have. It has like some energy, but ultimately it can run out. And if you apply pressure on to their energy in other ways as well, this is decent. I don't know if this is probably not better than LGM, which moves it, but it's useful, right? If they, you know, like this is reactive instead of proactive, which
Yeah.
generally being proactive is better. But like if they don't have any energy on the board yet, and they're going to get it all in one turn, then Turtonator does something. So Turtonator definitely is interesting, and I think it's a pretty decent control card. Don't know if it'll actually end up seeing play, but I do think it is cool. I don't actually know if it's better than the other Turtonator we have in standard either. I think it's like similar power level wise, but that card's like decent.
And do we have there's the tool card that moves an energy from the active to the bench,
Yeah,
which I'm
that's
blanking
I'm
the
pretty sure
name.
we still have that, right? Handheld fan. Yeah, that's rotating. So you can stack those, and then if they hit you with like Dragon Pulse or something, they lose both their energies, which is pretty nice, unless they got Jamming Tower. But I don't think they're playing Jamming Tower pressure. I don't know, but I think some are. But ultimately, yeah, you can like disrupt them, which can be really nice slash annoying.
All right, that's fair. I mean, I wasn't thinking about this card at all. As I gave it very little thought. No, that's not true. I gave it. No, I didn't. I didn't think about it as I look at my notes here. So, but as a control card, yeah, and it's 120 HP. So hopefully, things that give small attacks aren't going to knock it out, and like the pre-evolutions aren't going to knock it out. Retreat cost is 2, but we have air balloons, so we can deal with that as well if you don't want it in the active. So it's an annoying card. You know, I don't think it's going to see a ton of play. You put it in the 10th spot, so you don't see it as certainly a top card. But as an option for a control deck, yeah, you put one or two copies in a control deck. That's definitely something that you could do.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, Halus is like so good. This card is like pretty good. I think it's gonna see play. The more I think about it, maybe I'm just like hyping myself up over it. But yeah. Anyways, um, overall, I think the set's kind of. I mean, it's small, right? It doesn't have that many cards,
Yeah,
that are like unique, and new. It has some, but it doesn't have a crazy amount. But it definitely has. I mean, Meowth EX is very good, right? And then some of the
yeah,
other top cards are cool. There's some cool megas, some cool single prizers, and some kind of cool trainers. Again, most of them are type specific, like we were kind of saying.
right.
Or like high setup. But overall, what are your thoughts? Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's Meowth, there's the type specific things. This set's a little underwhelming, or even more. It's a very underwhelming set for the first set of the year. Rotation and the loss of cards is going to be like 100 times bigger than the cards we're getting, right? So we're mostly going to be focused as we're playing and building decks of the things we've lost. These new cards have some value, but it's I would have liked to see it be a little bit stronger just to help kind of offset rotation a little bit. But this is what we got to work with.
Yeah, but definitely excited to mess around with these cards, and we hope you are as well. But leave your comments in the comment section on YouTube, on our YouTube channels, 10 Types or Uncommon Fossil, your thoughts on them, and also make sure you like and subscribe. That really helps support our channels, and also shows us like what kind of content you want us to see. But obviously you can comment that as well. But we hope you enjoyed, and you can check us out as well on podcasting platforms. Don't leave comments there. I guess you could, but we won't see them. So also leave them on YouTube. We unfortunately won't see them because of the way that they work. But anyways, we hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. And as always, we're excited to see you in the next episode.
Take care.